Oh! Well, that's twice on the roof. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the Speedy's Garage YouTube channel. Figured we'd do a little check-in on the dogs. Y'all haven't seen them in a while. Vita's still doing good. Always hanging out the car window, so we kind of call it. She likes to hang out and put her arm down when she's hanging out riding shotgun. Saturn over here, doing good too. Blowing her coat, so she's shedding really bad, so a little robot vacuum is working overtime. Good girl. The dogs are doing really good. What are you doing? Can you sit? Can you sit? Oh no, I didn't say talk to me. Can you sit? Sit. Saturn talks a lot. Good girl. Vita, can you speak? Vita, will you speak? Tell me. Tell me. Whoop, don't fall. Good girl. Of course they get treats. There you go. Here's Saturn. Sit, 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 sit. Easy, easy. She tries to take my hand off sometimes. There you go, good girl. Over to the shop, I've got something that I think is pretty cool that I'm gonna show you guys. But first, a little update. So, haven't put out any content since Challenger Fest. I've been taking a little bit of a break from the YouTube thing. Go is still doing great. The flex fuel tuning is all working perfect. E85 is squared away. So really, it's almost a complete project. I don't know if they're ever really complete, but for the most part, there's really not a lot that I have planned for the car. You guys have been watching the channel for a while, know my goal was to run 10.0 in any weather, and it's doing it. Back at Challenger Fest and Mo Party, DA was like 3,000, 3,500, and we ran exactly 10.0. Well, eventually we probably got a little bit of everything back there. I was tuning it on it and dialing it back a little bit. In good weather, it's running 970. I'm hoping we might get one more day at the drag strip before winter kind of closes in and closes everything down. In a couple of weeks, I might go back and just try to set a personal best in really good air. I think the car on E85 might have a 950 or 960 in it if I can get the 60 foot right. So we're gonna look to see about that, but even if it doesn't, I'm thrilled with how it is. It drives great, runs great, no issues whatsoever. So that's pretty much it. If you got ideas on what I might consider to do next, and don't say nitrous, I've thought about it. I'm a little bit leery of nitrous on a stock motor, so not too sure about that. It's going pretty fast now, but if you got some other ideas, leave them in the comments and I'll think about it. But I do have a couple of pieces of content that are coming for Go Man Go. One is I do have the results of the E85 oil analysis back, and I think you'll be surprised to see those. And two, I went ahead and decided to make an injector upgrade, so I'll talk about that some more later, so stay tuned for those. And then of course we've got Project Sport Runner, and historically in the wintertime, to keep from getting bored, I would save a few projects for the Sport Runner here, but honestly it's almost complete too. I've had it almost 20 years, it's hard to believe, but we've got the HID headlights, a mild lift, upgraded wheels and tires, the TRD Tundra suspension, the Tundra brake system, it's supercharged, water method injection. We did the interior lights last year when I got bored. So you can see we did the footwell lighting and upgraded everything to LED. So all that's pretty well done. I do have a leather armrest for it, so that will be going in over the winter. But other than that, it's pretty much a done project. Now it does need some maintenance. Like I said, it's about 20 years old, 150-ish thousand miles on it. Haven't done the timing belt service on it yet, so that's gonna be coming up eventually. They say you're supposed to do it at 90K, but it's at 150 now. These are non-interference engines, which means you're not likely to have a problem if the timing belt happens to break. And I've heard of people going 250,000 miles before they changed it, so I'm not really worried about that. I am starting to develop a very, very small valve cover oil leak on the passenger side, but it's not enough to really matter. I noticed it just getting a little bit, kind of that wet look around the edge of the rear part of the gasket, and daubing it with a white towel, I get a couple of little spots. So it's not bad, but it's probably getting time that I'll need to start considering doing valve cover gaskets on it. Like most things with this era of Toyota, they're difficult. Valve covers, I'm used to working on like a Hemi V8 and it's no problem. takes maybe an hour, 2 hours tops. On this thing, it's an all-day project. You have to take a ton of stuff apart, and they use plastic to hold wiring looms and all kind of stuff like that, and the plastic gets brittle from all the heat cycles from the motor, so not looking forward to doing the valve covers. But other than that, Project Sport Runner is pretty much done too. So I'm starting to run out of things to work on, and that's why I decided to get into something I haven't messed with in years and years and years. So that's what I'm going to show you today. Okay, so you guys have been following me for a while know that I like to have something to work on almost all the time. It keeps my mind sharp and fresh, kind of sort of therapeutic for me. I really enjoy having some kind of project to focus on. As a kid, I used to enjoy building models, and you know, people are always surprised to hear me say that I actually enjoy wiring up a car because it's intricate and detailed, and I can just really laser focus on that, and it's kind of therapeutic to me, so I enjoy that kind of work. Used to love the models as a kid and painting those. I was looking for something I could get into that I could occupy myself during the winter months when drag strips are closed, you can't go to cruise-ins or car shows or things like that. And years ago, I was into the little RC cars, but what I remembered about them is the batteries always being dead every time I wanted to play with it, or they didn't last long when I did, or it broke all the time. And so I'm lucky to have a local hobby shop, and they're very well recommended. Friends of mine use them, and they said, man, you go down and talk to that guy and see about getting into something. So I went down and talked to him a couple of times, and he recommended something to me that I'm very excited to show you guys. And it should give me something really cool to fool with over the winter months, and maybe if I can, you know, find places to go take it, maybe during the summer too, when I'm not drag racing or working on one of the other cars. So here it is. Check this thing out, and this is actual size, believe it or not. It's a RC car made by a company called Arrma, and this isn't sponsored or anything. I bought this with my own money. That's the actual size of it. It'll do 60 something miles an hour. I mean, it's ridiculous. And that's actual miles an hour, not scale miles an hour. So this truck, which is probably, I don't know, what is that, about 18 inches long and 6 inches tall, will do a legit, like if you put a radar gun on it, 60 miles an hour. And when the guy told me that, I was like, man, I haven't, you know, had something like this in a lot of years. I don't want it to be fun for 30 seconds till I hit something and it explodes. And so he told me that the actual, you know, controller has speed settings on it where you can dial it back until you get used to driving it. So that was good to know. But he said too, this company makes them extremely durable. And 3, if things break, you can get every single part for this truck and literally build it from scratch. And so if things do happen to wear or break on it, you can work on it and repair it. The good news is, once you buy the truck and the batteries that go with it, all the parts are relatively inexpensive. He told me the most expensive thing would be tires, and I'm like, man, at 60 miles an hour, how long do the tires last? And he said, well, they're actually pretty good, but when they do wear out, that's going to be one of your more expensive items. They're like $25 or $35 a tire once you start getting into those. But everything else, you know, differentials, it's got real working differentials with ring and pinion. You can put, they're limited slip supposedly, but the way they make them limited slip is with the different weight of oil that actually goes in them. The transmission, the same way, it has a differential in it. It's all-wheel drive, and you can tune the differentials to give traction coming into corners and out of corners, and if you want it to drift a little bit more. The shocks are real coilovers. They take oil in those as well. You can set the ride height and all of that. So I'm pretty excited to start playing with this and getting it out and having a good time with it. I'm going to start by showing you guys the battery setup, and it's pretty serious. It's what they call a 6S, and I know almost nothing about this stuff, so I'm not going to pretend that I do, but I have looked up enough to know that the S means series, so there's cells in these batteries, and the way this one works is they sold me a kit. You know, I told the guy, I said, I don't know anything about it, show me what I need, and he says, well, get this, it's got the charger and 2 batteries in it. And he says, if you end up getting another vehicle that's a 3S car, you can actually run in the 3S battery. Since this one is 6S, it takes 2, and you just put them in, and it's got plugs in the truck to take both batteries and make it 6S. So that's how it gets the power. These are lithium polymer batteries, which have a little bit of a reputation of being dangerous. And so I wanted to be really careful with that. And that's one of the reasons I got the kit that included the smart charger, so that it all kind of goes together. I don't want to take a chance of burning the place up with these exploding. They're way better than they used to be. He told me, he said you had to kind of be really, really careful with them, and people were actually storing them in special bags and things like that. He said things have improved a lot and they're much safer than they used to be, but I'm still not going to probably leave them like charging unattended or anything like that. I'm not going to take a chance. He said these should charge up in 30 to 40 minutes from almost empty, and they'll last 30 to 40 minutes of drive time. So a pretty good trade-off. I'm not gonna be worried about batteries always being dead anymore. So like I said, I got the kit, which makes it super easy. They're smart batteries, so they got this little data cable. And I've taken a look at the manual, and this just basically plugs into the data port. If I can get it right. There's that one, and then plug that into port 1. We're gonna charge these up. Plug this into port 2. Get this dude working. Okay, and now, channel 1, start. Channel 2, start. And since this is a smart charger, it knows the cell type and the proper amperage to use for these batteries. Since it's the same brand, it all just works together. So it's much more simple and easy, and all I have to do is wait for them to charge up. All right, now let's take a look at this dude. I wanted a blue one, and they just happen to have one blue one left in stock, so I snagged it. Wow, that thing is bigger than I expected it to be. Like I said, it's got real coilovers. Let's see here. Wow. So, yeah. You can see how the oil in the coilover shocks kind of dampens everything down. So that's pretty cool. Let's see what else is in the box. Toolkit and some documentation, kind of gear, hand controls. All right, pretty basic setup actually. Let's check this out real quick. Okay, no idea what those are. Transmission, high-speed gearing. Optional high-speed gearing is for running on hard, flat surfaces. So this must be the guy told me you have to change the gears. So there's your standard gear, does up to 50. And then I guess with the speed gear, which is this guy, that's how you get your 60 mile an hour plus. So, comes with some extra diff shims. Like I told you, it's got real differentials, so you have to shim it to get the wear pattern right on the teeth. So probably check that at some point. Decals, warranty stuff. And the nice thing about this is it's a similar electronics package to several of the other vehicles, so they're kind of interchangeable, so that means parts are going to be really easy to get. It's the body styles and maybe the wheelbases and stuff that are different. I really considered getting the Notorious because I really like that body style way better than the one that's on this Kraton. This looks more like a Chevy. I'm not really wild about that. This is more like a 49 Ford, which I think looks really cool. But this was more of a stunt truck, so the wheelbase was real short, and when you have that going on, it's a little bit harder to control for somebody who's a newbie like me. The longer wheelbase will be easier for me to drive and get used to, and then I can probably figure out how to get this body and make it fit. So that'll be one of the first modifications that I do. And it looks like there's a little bit of setup. I'll read through this. I'm not gonna bore you guys with that. Looks like it's got steering trim, throttle trim, all that kind of stuff. And one thing I do know that I did a little bit of research before I bought it. It does have an electronic speed controller. This is kind of the brain, and you can program all of this. And here's the table to know, how much braking do you want it to have. So you go wide open on the throttle, and then you roll it back, that's your brake. And then once you click it once and you brake, and then you do it again, now you got reverse. So it's a pretty nice transmitter, and it's got a couple of extra channels built into it too. You've got an A and a B here with a switch. Maybe get really creative, put some lights in it, and I can turn the lights on and off with the little switch there. So a lot of options, and it should keep me busy for a while. Let's take a little closer look at the truck. Oop, I hear the charger beeping. I wonder if it's already done. So obviously that's the motor. It's got Front and rear drive shafts, those are aluminum, it feels like, or metal at least. Brace, batteries go in here. I'm still amazed at the detail in the thing. There's the diff cover and sway bars, so I'm assuming you pull the sway bar off and that diff cover comes off, then you can check the lash on the diff. I'll need to check the oil in it. That is one of the things when I was doing research on these, is it seems like the differentials may need or may not come completely full of oil from the factory. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's pretty basic. So that's plastic, metal, plastic, metal. I think that one, the front one's plastic. But there's tons of upgrade options for this thing. And it's all those upgrades and customizations, that's the real reason I got the thing. I've watched a couple of YouTube videos of people with these, and they are jumping them as high as their house, the roof of their house. I mean, they'll go 30 or 40 feet in the air and land and keep right on going. I'll probably never get quite that extreme with it, but it's nice to know they're durable enough to be able to do that. I'm more interested in tinkering on it, all the customizations I'll be able to do, and when it's cold and snowy outside or bad weather, I can come in the shop and still have something fun to kind of tinker on. I'll have to get some, I've got most of the tools that I need for this thing, but it uses really small hex head bolts for the most part. They're like, 1.5, 2.0, those sizes, so I'll probably pick up a couple of those. I'd like to get an electric screwdriver to make it, a little bit quicker. I'm gonna do some really quick setup on this thing. Let's go out and take it for a rip. And the manual did say that all of the electronics are pretty well sealed. So it's not a submarine, it said, but they are extremely water resistant. So I'll be able to take it out in the snow, or if we go in a puddle somewhere, we won't have to worry about that. So that's pretty good to know too, that this stuff is actually sealed up and weather and water resistant. I just checked and the batteries are actually almost charged. The first one charged in about 17 minutes, and I'm assuming they probably had a little bit in them out of the box. The second one, it's been going about 20 minutes and it's probably 99% there. While I'm waiting for that to finish, I'll mention that I haven't been into RC in a long time, but I did have that Mavic 2 Zoom drone. If you've been following the channel, I'll link to the top of some of those videos that I produced with that drone. And while it was very cool to get that perspective of being able to fly it and see that perspective 400 feet in the air or whatever, I've never really been super comfortable with it for some reason. I don't know if it's because I'm always paranoid that a helicopter is going to come too low, or a plane or something. I always keep it below 400 feet like you're supposed to. That's a regulation, and that's supposed to keep it in a kind of a safe zone. But the thing takes off and then it's gone, and it'll fly like a mile away, or at least that's how far I've been able to get mine from my home, out messing around with it. And I've taken it to the drag strip a couple of times and flown it around the drag strip and tried to get some cool perspectives there. But the problem with that thing is it feels like every time I turn it on, it's a 30-minute ordeal of updates and trying to get things to connect and all of that. And I just used it yesterday to go over and take some footage of a construction site that's going on, kind of up the street from us. I've been kind of checking that from time to time. And it was, again, a 20-minute ordeal. It did so many updates, it killed the battery on it. I have 3 batteries for it, so I just swapped it out. But still, it's like every time you turn it on, it's something. Whereas this, I'm hoping it's just turn on and go, and it's instant gratification, having fun. So I've never really liked the drone. Hoping this is a lot better. All right, so yeah, the batteries took right about, let's call it 25 minutes to charge up. So that's not bad. Let's see now. I did put some zip ties on these to kind of tidy those up a little bit. And this goes here. It's got a little kind of container that these go in. That one goes there. Let's see. Little cable management project here. Put the body on, we're ready to rock and roll. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the transmitter on first. Make sure we always have control of the truck. And it's got a power button right inside of that ESC I showed you earlier. And here's the speed setting. So I've got it set to 50, which is the slowest, so I get used to it. Okay, I used the trims to set the steering. I need a little more steering response, so I cranked this all the way up. The throttle I've left in the middle, which is neutral, and then the trim, which is, when it's going straight, I want it to stay straight, so I kind of trimmed out so that straight means straight. Woo! Man, I've got some learning to do with this thing. I kind of came out to a empty parking lot, so I had some room, didn't have to worry too much about traffic. It's not too far from my house, so this might make a good spot to come learn. That's good. Woo! Whoa! Oh, I thought I lost it. The guy at the shop warned me. He said, stay off the throttle when it lands a jump because you'll rip a pinion out. So I'm trying to remember that. It's all little driving techniques. Make it fun to play with. Oh yeah, this thing is gonna be a blast. Woo-hoo-hoo! I'm gonna bump the speed up to second setting. So that's 75%. Let's see how much faster it is. There's this car coming. Whoa! That is quite a bit faster. Whoa! It's quite a bit faster actually. Whoa! Now it's all-wheel drive, but you see how the front tires kind of balloon up a little bit? That's that diff oil I talked about earlier. You can change out the diff oil to try to plant the front tires a little bit better if you want to. That's some stuff I'm gonna have to learn about, but that's why I got this thing, is to have a little project I can play with. Now remember, this is only on the second setting, so that is setting number 2 for speed. Oops. It's actually pretty well balanced. Oh! I gotta learn to jump it a little bit better. I might build some ramps and stuff too. There we go. We're out doing the grass. Check that out. Oh yeah, it just bajas right on through it. The turning radius is a little bit wider in the grass. I guess it's under power. Woo! Throwing rooster tails. Oh my god, this thing is going to be so much fun. Woo! Yeah, I get a little better turning radius when I'm off the throttle. I may look into how to improve that. And if I hit the brake a little bit, I can make it drift around. And the tires are actually glued to the wheels. They generate so much torque, so. Whoops. I am glad I didn't get the short wheelbase one. I don't think I'd have been able to control it.
found some loose dirt over here. I'm gonna play around in a minute, see if I can get used to how it handles when it's skidding. Ooh, that was a good one. Yeah, that's what I like. I like to drift it. Oops. Okay, so I've ended up on the roof once. Not too bad. A few little scratches, but that's what they're for. Like I said, pretty durable. And what I've learned is you can control the truck in the air with the throttle. So if you chop the throttle while it's in the air, I guess the centrifugal force of the wheels makes it nose heavy. But if you give it a little bit of throttle while it's in the air, it'll actually rock back. You just have to be careful and try to remember to get off the throttle right when it lands. So it's a little tricky, but it's better than it nose diving and landing on the roof. My goal is to make it be flat. Oh! Well, that's twice on the roof. Almost 3 times.
Well, I'm back at the shop, and I probably spent 30 or 40 minutes driving the vehicle, and it still has battery life. So that's going to be pretty good bang for your buck on your battery charges. It took about, let's call it 25 minutes to charge. I was able to drive it on at least a lot of, 50% and 75% power for about 40 minutes, all the ripping around, and it's still got some battery life left. It's not acting like it's weak yet or anything like that. Landed on the roof a couple of times, but like I said, these things are pretty tough, and even the little posts for the body, they're a little scuffed up and all that, but all of that's easily replaceable, and everything's pretty, relatively cheap, to be honest. You're talking about $3 or $4 for the posts. If you really tear up a body, which these things do eventually wear out, they're like $60 something, $40, $50, $60, somewhere in there, depending on what you get. I had a really good time learning to, drive it, for lack of a better term. I've got a lot of practicing to do, but this should give me something to focus on this winter, and it'll be a pretty fun little hobby to get into. I've got some maintenance and some upgrades planned for it. If you guys are interested in seeing any of that, leave me a comment and let me know. If not, leave me a comment and let me know that too, and I just won't shoot any content on it. But I thought it'd be cool, something different to kind of show you guys. And yes, I do already have boxes of upgrades and customization parts ready to go. I went ahead and ordered those right about the same time I knew I was going to get the truck, so they'd be here about the same time. So if you want to see what those are, leave me a comment and let me know. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Be sure to hit subscribe if you haven't already. Check us out on Instagram. It's at Speedys_garage, as well as the website, www.speedysgarage.net. And hopefully, I will see you out there.